stand with South Africa's decision to withdraw from the Rome Statute?
As I indicated in the conference, in the symposium, the highest decision-making bodies of a ruling party, as well as the cabinet of the Republic, have taken a policy decision to withdraw. My duty is to implement that decision, hence my submission of this bill to Parliament for consideration, which is currently before Parliament. And of course that the rest depends really on that process, parliamentary process, which I have no control, or the executive itself has no full control over, because Parliament is independent.
What has the ICC or the community, the state parties to do to make an ICC where South Africa could stay?
We made that effort in the last 2-3 years since this matter arose, and that was to urge the ASP, the Assembly of State Parties of the ICC, to really apply its mind to this issue. We believed it was important enough for the ASP to be seized with it, with a view to finding a solution that would break the impasse. The reality is that not only us, but it seems many others have difficulty in having a Rome Statute, and whether the net effect of their interpretation is to completely eliminate diplomatic immunity under the Rome Statute or otherwise. And we feel it's a legitimate request that we have made to say, give guidance, preferably introduce an amendment that brings legal certainty.
But we have now the appeals chamber of the ICC, and we have the decision of the African Union to ask for an advisory opinion at the ICJ. Don't you think that these two steps could bring that clarity, and that it would make sense to wait until these judicial institutions have come to a judgment?
We hope that those that have now appealed will get a fair hearing, because our estimation is that it was the most unreasonable thing to give us such a short space of time within which to decide whether to appeal the decision or not. But put that aside, we have a process that's underway, and if in the course of us prosecuting our legislative review process something new comes up, I would assume Parliament would take that notice, or parliamentary notice of it, and will decide whether that has an impact on the current decision to withdraw.
You have stated that an African court with criminal jurisdiction is an important initiative, but South Africa has not ratified the Malabo Protocol. Why is it so, and where do we stand?
We think that there may be certain difficulties with the manner in which it's currently couched. We have agreed at an AU summit, I can't recall whether it's a year or two ago, that a research work group be put together, to put it simply, to go around the countries and establish from them what their difficulties are, so that a report can be compiled, so that if indeed this calls for a revision of the protocol to address those concerns.
So what are the issues you're struggling with? Has it to do with the immunity provision?
Well, of course the one issue is, as you would have said earlier, the question of whether an interpretation of the Rome Statute vis-a-vis an interpretation of the Malabo Protocol would actually create contradiction or an impasse with regard to handling of the diplomatic immunity law. Our approach has been an understanding that the two provisions in the Rome Statute were supposed to be complementary, in that they would have the net effect of not completely eliminating diplomatic immunity. So these uncertainties that we've experienced in the implementation of the Rome Statute may well play themselves out in the Malabo Protocol if we do not there tighten, and ensure that there is clarity on those matters. And also we're looking at the issue of whether the Malabo Protocol is in sync with our own constitutional order, because in terms of our own constitution and our courts take precedence insofar as the territorial jurisdiction of South Africa, that if the interpretation is that these protocols would have the effect of going over our courts and take precedence of our courts, we might have difficulty of conflict with our own constitution. I'm not sure whether I should be confident in believing that you could have that resolved in the immediate future. That's why, as South Africa, we've gone ahead and introduced our own domestic law that would ensure that whatever was sought to be achieved, be it by Malabo or Rome Statute, can actually equally be achieved through our own domestic law.